Hello and welcome back to the Library of Ruina Ranked. In this video, we'll be covering all the general reception pages from Store of the City. Our first page is Mangle. This is a 1 cost rolling 3-6, 3-5 / 3-7 block with both slashes inflicting 1 bleed next scene on hit. This page is actually pretty alright for a 1 cost clashing page. 2 slash dice with 2 bleed between them is a really nice start if you're bleed stacking, since most passives care about the number of slash dice used. The 3-7 block can act as a pretty decent hanging die if you plan on free hitting with this page, which you should probably be doing, as unfortunately the clashing leaves much to be desired. In the end, the page is decent, but only that, so it gets a C+. Shoving Stab is a 2 cost rolling 7-12 pierce that inflicts 3 bleed next scene on hit, and it draws a page on use. Compared to Gale Kick, you lose half a power in the counter die for 3 bleed and the page draw being guaranteed. That makes it quite a bit worse in my eyes, as the counter die was the main thing making Gale Kick a playable page. You do get this a bit earlier, but I think it's just a C. A Critical Moment is next. It's a 3 cost rolling 3-6 evade, 7-15 slash, inflicting 3 bleed next scene on hit, and it draws a page on use. This page is pretty awful. Compared to Deep Drag, you get a significantly lower roll average, worse status effect, and worse dice placement for no real upside. It's also markedly worse than Forceful Gesture. You also get this page later, so it's just a D. Disgorge Innards is a 4 cost rolling 5-8 pierce, 6-15 blunt, and the damage is increased by the amount of bleed on the target. This page is a decent build around. It excels at middling levels of bleed like low 10s to 20s, because at lower counts you're not really getting your lights worth, but at higher bleeds like 50 plus, then the enemy would have almost certainly died anyways, and you would have rather recovered HP, drawn pages, or restored light. It's not super easy to get to those levels of bleed without a dedicated bleed build, and so in a floor built around bleed, this is just alright at a C-, but is an F anywhere else. Gap Attack is a 0 cost rolling 4-6 block, 3-8 pierce, inflicting 1 bind next scene on clash win, and on use, it gives the user 1 haste next scene. This is a pretty awful page. The roll to light ratio is like fine, but it doesn't provide meaningful utility for it to deserve a slot in your decks. F tier. Dagger Press is a 1 cost rolling 2-7 pierce, 4-6 block, 3-7 pierce. The 3 inflicts 1 bind next scene on hit, and on use, it gives the user 2 haste next scene. This page also isn't that great. The rolls are fine for the light cost, but being a 1 cost they have to either be pretty incredible or the page has to have some good utility. This has neither, so while it's not unplayable, it's just a D. Feint is next. This is another 1 cost rolling 2-7 slash, 3-7 blunt, 3-7 pierce, with the pierce inflicting 1 binds next scene on hit. Compared to Dagger Press, you're trading dice type consistency and 2 haste for a 3rd offensive die instead of a block die. That's actually significantly better, although this page still isn't very good. In certain strategies where you stack insane amounts of strength, like with Weight of St. Olivia or similar, 3 offensive dice for 1 light is a pretty great deal, but that's a bit outside the scope, and so this page is just a C-. Seize Your Chance is a 2 cost rolling 3-7 block, 3-8 pierce. The pierce inflicts 1 bind next scene on hit, and on use, it gives the user 2 endurance next scene. Compared to Iron Will, you always get the 2 endurance, and the offensive die is stronger with a bind, but the defensive dice are weaker by more than a power on average. In a defensive focused deck, I think I like Iron Will better because of that, but this page is still decent in those decks at a C+. Prod the Weakness is a 3 cost rolling 4-8 block, 9-21 pierce, which inflicts 1 bind next scene on clash win. This is another entry into the 3 cost with a medium defensive and a strong offensive, and it's not amazing. No real utility really hurts at this point, because while in Urban Plague you can get away with pure bomb pages, in Star of the City you really need to have some utility or just knock your socks off good rolls, and this has neither. It's not unplayable, but it's just a D. Stiletto is a 4 cost rolling 4-10 evade, 11-25 pierce. The pierce inflicts 2 binds next scene on hit, and on use, the damage the page inflicts gets boosted by the sum of the target's binds and the user's haste. This is supposed to be the big payoff for all the haste and bind infliction the reception gives you, but again, it's just not that good. The damage boost is nice, but since there's only a single die, it's not a lot. 4 light needs to provide something pretty great, and while the evade die is strong and the pierce even stronger, I'm not really feeling this page's motivation, so it gets a D like Prod the Weakness. Our next page is Harp. This is a 0 cost rolling 1-2, 2-7 blunt, with the 2 giving 1 protection to the user next scene on hit. It kind of feels like they forgot to add a on use restore 1 light to this page, because what the hell am I looking at? compared to Frontal Assault, you get worse dice placement and no light regen for 1 protection. This is unplayable at F tier. Sand Split is a 1 cost rolling 4 to 9 block, 3 to 9 slash, which gives 1 protection next scene on Clash Win. This page is similarly disappointing, sporting alright rolls but no utility to speak of. I like my utility to be cheap and my clashing pages to be expensive, so this fails on both metrics, F tier. Sand Strike is another 1 cost. This one rolls 4 to 8 blunt, 4 to 8 block, with the blunt giving the user 1 endurance next scene on Clash Win. Here, you trade half a power for a slightly stronger effect compared to Sand Split. Still bad though, F tier. Furicea is at least passable. This is a 2 cost rolling 5 to 8 block, 3 to 7 blunt, 3 to 7 block, with the blunt giving the user 2 endurance on Clash Win. The issue is that a 3 to 7 blunt doesn't win clashes very well, and you're not likely to be strength stacking on a deck that uses this page since it's very defensive slanted. That means this page is a D+, which is quite good compared to the other Udjat pages so far. Jemadire is a 2 cost rolling 4 to 8 pierce, 2 to 9 block, 3 to 8 pierce. Additionally, if the natural roll of the defensive dies max, you add a 4 to 5 pierce to the end. Or at least I think it does that. I've never actually gotten it to trigger. Even without the trigger though, the page isn't awful, which is good because you have a 1 in 8 or 12.5% chance of triggering it, so you should assume that it won't. I'd say if you were the luckiest person alive and always got the trigger, the page would be an A+, but the inconsistency makes it just a B-. The Udjat is next. This is a 3 cost rolling 5 to 6 block, 3 to 7, 8 to 14 blunt, with the 3 giving 2 protection to all allies next scene on hit. 10 protection is a pretty crazy amount, and the effect is stacked on the die that's most likely to hit. It's nothing overly fancy, and it's fairly focused on staying alive, but its raw power is good enough for an A-. Switcheroo is a 0 cost rolling 3 to 6 blunt, 3 to 5 slash. The blunt inflicts 1 paralysis next scene on hit, but it also draws the user a page when discarded. I'd argue that this page is better than Relay by a decent margin. The roll average is identical, but Switcheroo has double offensive and, more importantly, costs 0, so it's more likely to get pitched to cards that say discard a page with the lowest cost. Both of these make this page a C+ in non-margin discard decks. Insurance Covered is a 1 cost rolling 3 to 8 slash, 3 to 7 blunt, with the blunt inflicting 1 paralysis next scene on hit, but it restores 1 light upon being discarded. This page is a bit better than the page draw counterparts, due to light being more important, but not by much, being a B-. Equivalent Exchange is a 2 cost rolling 4 to 7 evade, 4 to 8, 3 to 8 blunt. The 2 inflicts 2 bleed next scene on Clash Win, the 3 inflicts 2 bleed next scene on hit, and on use, the user discards a random page to restore 1 light. This is a pretty mediocre discard outlet. At 1 light, it's quite strong, but only discarding 1 page and a random one at that means this is usually card disadvantage unless you can spike and hit a Switcheroo or similar. It's still pretty good since the rolls are so strong, but it's just a C+. Multi-Party Compensation is next. This 2 cost rolls 5 to 10 slash, 4 to 8 block, with the slash inflicting 1 disarm next scene on hit, but when discarded, all other allies restore 1 light. Restoring 4 light across your team is quite good, and the fail case of just hardcasting this page isn't awful either. This level support is rare to find, and so this page gets a B+. Final Stroke is a 3 cost rolling 6 to 7 blunt, 4 to 10 block, 8 to 21 blunt. The 3 inflicts 5 bleed next scene on Clash Win, and on use, it boosts the damage by 1 for each page in hand, then discards all pages. This is a much better discard outlet in my opinion. The 3 is pretty insane, and while the on-use effect's upside isn't incredible, it's not nothing. The 1 is deceptively strong because the roll range is so thin, and so this page gets an A-. Test Run isn't so lucky. This is a 0 cost rolling 2 to 6 blunt, 2 to 3 slash, and on use it gives the user 3 smoke. Again, it kinda feels like they forgot to add an on-use restore 1 light to this because this page is unplayable, F tier. Smoke Blow is a 1 cost rolling 4 to 8 block, 5 to 8 blunt. The blunt restores 1 light and inflicts 3 smoke on hit, and on use, it gives the user 3 smoke. This page is just alright. Assuming you hit with the blunt, you spread a total of 6 smoke for 0 light. The rolls aren't great, but the smoke infliction is good enough for this page to get a D+. Smoke Smash is next. This is a 1 cost rolling 4 to 8 evade, 6 to 9 slash. The slash inflicts 2 smoke on hit, and on use, if the user has 9 or more smoke, all the dice on the page gain 2 power. This is a 1 cost clashing page I can get behind. In a dedicated smoke deck, reaching 9 smoke is trivial, and then we're talking one of the strongest evade dice in the game. The power level is too efficient to ignore, so this page gets a B+. It is still a 1-cost non-utility page after all. Smoke Prick is a 2-cost rolling 3 to 7 block, 3 to 8 blunt, 4 to 8 pierce. The 2 inflicts 3 smoke on hit, the 3 inflicts 2 smoke and gives the user 1 smoke on hit, and on use, the user gains 2 smoke. This page has the same roll range as Creek with better dice placement and 8 smoke spread, which is a pretty good upgrade. At this point the rolls are a little bit lacking without some extra juice, but it's still a B+. Field Mods is a single-use 3-cost rolling 7 to 12 blunt, and on use, it lowers the cost of all pages in hand by 1. Right away, this page's rolls are F tier, and so it's all on the on-use effect. You'll probably want to use it alongside utility pages so your bombs get their cost reduced, which can be a bit unwieldy since utility pages are usually what draws you cards, which you want to have a lot of in hand to maximize the effect, but the effect is strong enough that this page's ceiling is probably a B. Exhale Smoke is a 4-cost rolling 7 to 12 blunt, 4 to 8 block, 7 to 11 slash. The blunt inflicts 3 smoke, and then if the target has 5 or more smoke, inflicts 3 paralysis next scene on hit, and on use it gives the user 8 smoke. The rolls are strong, and the blunt effect is very powerful and fairly easy to trigger. Solid A+ tier page. Wedging Thorn is next. The 0-cost rolls 3 to 6, 1 to 3 pierce, the 2 inflicts 1 fragile next scene on hit, and it restores 1 light on use. Compared to Frontal Assault, you gain half a power on 2 and a fragile, but you get this page at the end of the chapter. Honestly, gaining half a power isn't entirely upside since Frontal Assault gave you a guaranteed emotion coin. I wasn't too high on Frontal Assault, and I'm even lower on Wedging Thorn. There are better light regens out there, and this page can only manage a C+. Cleave Across is a 1-cost rolling 4 to 8 block, 4 to 6 slash, inflicting 1 process next scene on hit. This page has a lower roll average than Sand Split and Sand Strike, and the effect is only marginally better. F tier. Faultless Strike is another 1-cost, this one rolling 4 to 8 block, 5 to 7 blunt, inflicting 2 fragile next scene on hit. Compared to Sand Strike, you trade the endurance for 2 fragile. That's slightly better, but doesn't save this page from its fate of F tier though. Knockback is a 2-cost rolling 4 to 7 blunt, 4 to 8 block, 4 to 8 pierce, with the pierce inflicting 2 fragile next scene on hit. This page hits slightly harder than Smoke Prick, but the effects are significantly worse and it doesn't have dice type consistency. It's not awful, but I'm not exactly excited to put this page in my deck at a C. Great Swing is another 2-cost. This one rolls 3 to 8 slash, 4 to 8 blunt, 4 to 8 evade, with the blunt inflicting 1 paralysis next scene on hit. This has the same roll range as Knockback, with slightly worse dice placement but a slightly better effect. They're close enough that this page is also a C. Our last page today is Ready Position. This is a 3-cost rolling 1 to 1 slash. On play, the user becomes immobilized this scene, gains 3 strength next scene, and adds a copy of Pinpoint Breakthrough to hand. Pinpoint Breakthrough is a single-use 2-cost rolling 5 to 10 blunt, 15 to 24 pierce. The blunt inflicts 1 process next scene on hit, the pierce expends all stagger resist to deal bonus stagger damage equal to the amount expended, and only 1 copy can be in someone's hand at a time. What an awful page. First, you immobilize yourself, which already neuters your damage, and then you cast this page, and then you stagger yourself, which makes you even more vulnerable and again, neuters your damage, so you end up dealing less damage, being more vulnerable, and having fewer resources since you aren't using page draw and light regen. Awful. F tier. In the next video, we'll be covering all the pages from Imperitas Civitatis. I'll see you soon, and as always, thank you for watching.